Albion is a project that David and I have spent the last really 3 or 4 years bringing to fruition. And it's something that we're incredibly passionate about, this notion of helping people worldwide to develop through business, but especially through entrepreneurial and enterprising education. And our focus there is to help develop social mobility and improve economic activity, because we know that by getting young people to engage with enterprising and entrepreneurial ways of teaching and learning, they are more likely to go forwards and create things for themselves. And that has huge economic benefits, both for the countries they might live in, but also the countries they might one day work in. Now, we have four really key values here, which I think summarize how we operate as an institution. Fundamentally, responsible, realistic, and sustainable is all about understanding our place in the community and doing things with a view on its impact on society. We don't want to do things that we can't deliver on. I think that's a really good way of summarizing that point. Respectful, inclusive, and supportive. That's really all about how we treat people. And whether those are students or staff or yourselves here as agents, we want to have a really open dialogue with everybody and ensure you're part of our broader team. We've said honest, accountable, and open-minded. I think that really leads on from that first point. If we're going to talk to you respectfully, we're going to talk to you honestly. We're going to be transparent about our information. We're going to be transparent about how people get paid, how systems work, how students are taught, how the educational process is engaged in. And that last point, point four, innovation and creativity, well, that's at the heart of the kind of education that we're delivering to young people across the world. We want to deliver a curriculum that isn't just the traditional business curriculum. We want to take people forwards and give them a 21st century skills portfolio that we know is so in demand from companies and the private sector. So our program portfolio is really focused around these notions of entrepreneurship and business with a heavy focus on internationalization. And that's because for many of the countries that we are working with, we know there is a push to develop international FDI and to internationalize both their internal markets and their import-export markets. So we think international business with that element of enterprise and entrepreneurship is really where the delivery should be focused. All our programs are mapped to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We also map to things like Principles of Responsible Management Education. We have a big focus on ethical business management, international trade. Now, the key program that we're talking about initially launching is this International Business and Entrepreneurship Foundation year. So that's a level 3 qualification with a broad base of business and entrepreneurship skills, as well as some academic skills development. However, moving forwards, we already have validated a BSc International Business with an integrated foundation year and a full BSc International Business and Entrepreneurship course. So our plan moving forwards will be to actually bring those programs online so that we can offer from foundation all the way to level 6 with a graduate BSc honours degree. And that's validated by the University of Buckingham in the UK, who are a prestigious and well-respected private education institution, actually one of the first private universities set up in the UK. And they have a real focus on business and entrepreneurship. So they're a really ideal partner to work with. So from our perspective, when we really sort of zone in on the foundation year, what particular problems is that solving? Well, as I've already said, you're getting a prestigious and recognized qualification as a student from a UK institution. From your perspective, that is going to improve your opportunities to not just study further within your own country or with us, but to actually move on and study abroad. So more chance of actually getting a visa approval, better access to better universities, both in the UK and abroad, but especially with a focus on the UK in our context. The potential of that then is that there is an increased salary moving forwards. And certainly when we're looking at you as an agent group, It's a much improved role for you guys in terms of how this will actually operate. And we can operate this in a number of ways that David and myself will talk about later. So there's a multi-model opportunity there as well. So what I'm going to do now really quickly is just talk about the modules that form the degree. As you'll see, we have a 4-module per semester model, 2 semesters throughout the year. We start really with building those kind of fundamental skills. So I've talked about this a lot when I talk about foundation degrees in any context, but it's the foundation to the foundation, having those academic skills at the front so that students have the opportunity and ability to develop and learn actually how to learn in the context of a higher education degree. We then have, as you would assume, for a broad-based business entrepreneurship degree, an element of personal finance, an element of marketing, an element of global business. And then in semester 2, we begin to explore how we develop business value through products and services. So this is beginning to introduce more of that entrepreneurship element now into the course. We have a second opportunity to refresh some of that English for academic work and make sure that's really well integrated into what students are doing. We've got a foundation practice project that I think is really unique and interesting in this context, which gives students the ability to actually apply what they're learning to doing something. And one of the great benefits of that is that when they're then applying for the programs, they've got something really practical and pragmatic to talk about in the context of what they've done and achieved, not just the academic modules they've studied, but something they've really realized. And finally, we have that element of maths and stats. Now, the thing about these is not only are they a great foundation for our course, they're a great foundation for almost any business course that you might be looking at, both in the UK and internationally. The finance, marketing, global business, academic skills gives you that really clear foundation. The entrepreneurship, academic English, the practice project, and the business maths rounds all of that out. So if you were to look at any level 4 qualification that students might move on to, you would see that these things are key elements that would then get drawn upon. So we think this is a really great base for lots of potential future development. Now, when it comes to what we think our really unique factors are in the context of how we deliver, first of all, it's that we are trying to have a more kind of interactive and engaged delivery model, whether that's online or in person. We have high quality UK standard content and assessment. So everything is developed in-house. All of that is developed to a standard that we would want to see running in the UK. And that is both the assessment process and the teaching process itself. We work with staff who would, in a UK context, be teaching. So if we don't feel that staff would actually qualify in the UK, then whether they're working online or whether they're working in a potential study centre, we wouldn't work with them. We have a very active and engaged class model, as I've already said. We have that multimodal delivery opportunity, and we have an incredibly experienced staff management team who are actually running this. David and I have been involved in education for around about 20 years. We are very clear on our knowledge of how UK higher education works. We're very used to both delivering and managing large institutional teams, and we know this is very much something that we can deliver on. So what are the options in terms of delivery? Well, we've touched on quite a few of these already as I've been talking, but fundamentally, we can offer 1 year full-time, which is our preference. We can offer a 2-year part-time route, although that would very much depend on demand. Our initial model, we would propose that will be online, but if we can get capacity, then we're happy to look at study centres in particular cities. And in terms of when we are looking to start, we're looking at an initial September entry and then a January entry as well, so 2 entry points per year. In terms of entry requirements, they are relatively standard in the context of what you'd expect for the UK. For a level 3, we're looking at secondary school level qualifications to enter. And that's assuming that the student is a school leaver and probably slightly younger. A mature student, that's kind of post 21, we are happy to look at experience on top of any educational background that they have. English language needs to be an IELTS score over 5.5 and no score below 5 in any of the 4 components. That is not really negotiable from our perspective, because that also then is part of that gateway to the student's future. All applications are through an online web form, which is available at the URL detailed there.